निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्नाय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतिष्ये नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कंत राधा कंत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 23. Chapter is entitled Maharaj Prithu's Going Back Home. Text number 20. Pativ bhartur dharma nisthaya sushrusaya charsha diho jatraya navindatarim porikarsita pisha preyaskarasparsana mana nirvitihi. अतीव भर्तुर्व्रत धर्म निष्ठया शुश्रूषया चार्ष देहो यात्रया नाभिं दतारिं परिकर्षितापिशा प्रेयस्करस्पर्शन मान निर्वृत्तिः। अतीव भर्तुर्व्रत धर्म निष्ठया शुश्रूषया चार्ष देहो यात्रया नाभिं दतारिं परिकर्षितापिशा प्रेयस्करस्पर्शन मान निर्वृत्तिः। Ativa, very much. Bhartu of the husband. Brata dharma, how to serve him. Nisthaya, by determination. Susrusaya, by serving. Cha, also. Arsha, like the great saintly sages. Deha, body. Yatraya, living condition. Na, did not. Abindata, perceive. Artim, any difficulty. Purikarsita, Purikarshita Opi, although transformed to become lean and thin. Sa, she. Priyakara, very pleasing. Sparshana, touching. Mana, engaged. Nirbritihi, pleasure. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Although she was not accustomed to such difficulties, Queen Urchi followed her husband in the regulative principles of living in the forest like great sages. She lay down on the ground and ate only fruits, flowers, and leaves. And because she was not fit for these activities, she became frail and thin. Yet, because of the pleasure she derived in serving her husband, she did not feel any difficulties. Purport. The words Bhartur Bratadharma Nisthaya indicate that a woman's duty or religious principle is to serve her husband in all conditions. In Vedic civilization, a man is taught from the beginning of his life to become a brahmachari, then an ideal grihastha, and then vanaprastha, then sannyasi. And the wife is taught just to follow the husband strictly in all conditions of life. After the period of brahmacharya, a man accepts a householder's life, and the woman is also taught by her parents to be a chaste wife. Thus, when a girl and boy are united, both are trained for a life dedicated to a higher purpose. The boy is trained to execute his duty in accordance with the higher purpose of life, and the girl is trained to follow him. The chaste wife's duty is to keep her husband pleased in householder life in all respects. And when the husband retires from family life, she is to go to the forest and adopt the life of Vanaprastha or Vanavasi. At that time, the wife is to follow her husband and take care of him just as she took care of him in householder life. But when the husband takes the renounced order of life, namely sannyas, the wife is to return home and become a saintly woman, setting an example for her children and daughter-in-law and showing them how to live a life of austerity. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, his wife, Vishnupriya Devi, although only 16 years old, also took the vow of austerity due to her husband leaving home. She chanted her beads, and after finishing one round, she collected 1 grain of rice. In this way, as many rounds as she chanted, she would receive the same number of rice grains and then cook them and so take prasad. This is called austerity. Even today in India, widows and women whose husbands have taken sannyas follow the principle of austerity, even though they live with their children. Prithu Maharaj's wife, Archi, was steadily determined to execute the duty of a wife, and while her husband was in the forest, she followed him in eating only fruits and leaves and lying down on the ground. Since a woman's body is considerably more delicate than a man's, Queen Archi became very frail and thin. Parikarshita. When one engages in austerity, his body generally becomes lean and thin. Becoming fat is not a very good qualification in spiritual life because a person who is engaged in spiritual life must reduce the comforts of the body, namely eating, sleeping, and mating, to a minimum. Although Queen Archi became very thin from living in the forest according to regulative principles, she was not unhappy. for she was enjoying the honor of serving her great husband. Mukam karati vachalam pangulanghaite gring jatkripatamaham bande Sri Gurung Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Isharam. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we are continuing our discussion about the life of perfection of Mother Archi, the glorious wife of Prithu Maharaj. So in this verse, how she was living a life of austerity is explained. So austerity is the foundation of human form of life. And specifically in Vanaprastha order of life, austerity is the main focus. So therefore, austerity has to be performed. So Vanaprastha is the stage where a man or a woman is expected to develop detachment from this material world. So austerity is very much needed because Tapodibam Putraka, it is explained in Shastra that austerity is the foundation of human form of life. So it is said that Grihastha life is a preparation for Vanaprastha and Vanaprastha life is the preparation for Sannyas life. So at the age of 50, at the middle of our life, it is recommended that we are supposed to go to the forest. Bana. Vanaprastha comes from Bana, Prasthan, means going to the forest. That is very, very important principle. There is some sound coming from that side at the corner. Somebody is, I think. Okay. Not speaking is also very austere nowadays. And keep the mobile phone in silent mode. That is also a big austerity. So please take that step to make the mobile phone, keep the mobile phone in a silent mode so that we can hear properly without much distractions. What is the essence of austerity? Essence of austerity is withdrawing the senses from sense enjoyment and engaging the senses in the service of the Lord. That is the essence of austerity. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about austerity in the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Austerity of the body, austerity of the mind, and austerity of the speech or words. So what is the austerity of the body? Because that is very, very important because body is very visible. That's why you should have visible austerity of the body. And it is said that worshipping the superiors in the form of Supreme Personality of Godhead, demigods, gurus, teachers, parents, is the first type of austerity of the body. Offering obeisances is very much recommended. because this is the austerity of the body. So that's why Prabhupada has introduced a system coming from Shastra only. When we enter into a temple, we should offer obeisances. It is also the tradition, as soon as you get up in the morning, you should also offer obeisances to the seniors, mainly the parents, gurus, the Supreme Lord. So offering obeisances is very scientific also. Why? When we bow down, naturally, the pride goes away, at least for that moment. So that is a science. That's why in some temples, traditional temples, if you want to enter into the temple, the door is very low. So you have to bend down to remind us that we are not the master, we are the servant. So servants are supposed to bow down in front of the master. So that is the austerity of the body. And also cleanliness, that is also very important aspect of bodily austerity. So cleaning the body regularly. That's why Prabhupada has made a system early morning in Brahma Muhurta before coming to Mangalarati. Devotees are expected to take bath, both in winter and also in summer. Summer taking bath is exciting, but in winter, little difficult. And it is also expected, unless now it is very difficult, we should take cold bath, cold water bath. But at least take bath with water is very, very important. So in student life, many students, they don't like to take bath in hostels. And they have a philosophy also that there is so much scarcity of water in the world. Why to misuse? So better to conserve water. So in that way, we have different kinds of philosophy. But keeping those kind of philosophy aside, the principle is that we have to keep our body clean. Not only body clean, our clothes also should be clean. Whatever we are wearing when we come for Mangalarati, we should have fresh clothes, right? That's why austerity of the body is to keep the body clean. There are many other aspects of austerity also, the body. Then after body, words. Mind is, will do at the end. Subtle, no? Mind is subtle, that's why we will do at the end. So words, very, very powerful. So Krishna says we should tell the truth, but another principle is there, we should not agitate the minds of others. That is very, very important principle. Even truth is spoken, if it agitates the mind, it should not be spoken. So other day I was giving a talk where Vidura came to the palace of Dhritarashtra after the departure of, after the destruction of the Yadu dynasty. But Vidura did not tell that truth to the Pandavas. Why? Because Pandavas will be very disturbed. And that was not necessary also. Anyway, that will be known to them. So why we should try to aggravate the situation? So if the truth is not emergency, and if it is agitating the mind of others, better to avoid speaking that truth also. But Prabhupada writes, the spiritual master should tell the truth always to the disciples. Because disciple is supposed to be disciplined, and unless they hear the truth, they cannot be disciplined. So, although it may agitate the mind sometimes, bitter truths, but it is needed. This is also the austerity of the disciple to hear the bitter truth from the mouth of the spiritual master. But general principle is that it should be spoken which will be pleasing to the ear and mind. So we should learn the art speaking the truth in such a way that it is palatable. That is the art of speaking truth. But the principle is that we should not agitate the mind of others. That is a great disservice. Already mind is agitated. So why to disturb more? So therefore, we should be very, very careful about speaking. Speaking. And we should speak the truth also. We should not tell lies. Truthfulness is the only pillar of dharma still existing in Kali Yuga. Other three legs or three pillars are gone. So therefore, speaking truth is very, very important. Be truthful. Brahmana speaks the truth even to his enemy. That is the symptom of a Brahmana. So Vaishnavas are also expected to be a Brahmana. Devotees are also expected to have Brahminical qualities. Therefore, we should always tell truth. If you cannot tell the truth, at least don't tell lies. Be silent. So telling lies is not good. So you have to avoid telling lies. So this is the austerity of the speech. And then austerity of the mind. That is very interesting because that is inside, not visible. Whatever is inside, that comes out. So austerity of the mind is very, very important. So satisfaction is the austerity of the mind. We have to be satisfied. So how satisfaction will come? Prabhupada wonderfully writes in the purport. First, we have to withdraw the mind from sense enjoyment or sense objects and absorb the mind in topics from scriptures like Mahabharata, Ramayana, Puranas, Bhagavatam. Then what will happen? Mind will be peaceful and satisfied. And Prabhupada is also explaining we should always think how to help others. Mind should be always thinking how to help others. In that way, mind will be always satisfied. So, very important three principles here. Number one, mind should be withdrawn from sense objects or sense enjoyment. Mind should not be thinking about sense enjoyment. Number two, mind should be absorbed in the topics of Shastra. And mind should be always thinking how to help others. These are the austerities of the mind. And when we engage the mind in this way, mind will be very satisfied. Mind will be very peaceful. Because unless mind is peaceful, we cannot focus on our spiritual practice properly. So peaceful mind is a foundation to take off in our spiritual journey. So that's why internally we have to cultivate this kind of qualities in the form of austerities. Because people cannot see what's going on in the mind. Externally may be very austere, but internally very disturbed. Thinking of sense enjoyment, thinking ill of others. Then we are in a very dangerous situation. External austerities will not derive proper benefit if our internal aspect is not properly taken care of. So therefore, mind has to be properly taken care of. And this wonderful statements from Shastra and wonderful purport by Prabhupada makes it very, very clear what we are supposed to do in terms of the mind. Right? That's why Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Man mana bhava. always think of me. But that will not happen in one day. So practice has to be there. And what is the practice? That is explained by Prabhupada wonderfully. That we have to sincerely try to withdraw the mind from sense enjoyment and absorb in the topics of Shastra, and always try to think how to do good to others. Our mind is envious by nature. That's why we don't think about the welfare of others. We always think welfare of ourselves. Mind is always thinking what I will get. And when mind is thinking what I will get, then what he will get? Anxiety. That's the problem. Selfish mind gets anxiety, and selfless mind gets satisfaction. So therefore, we have to be selfless. Selfless means thinking welfare of others. So austerity has different levels. We hear about Dhruva Maharaj austerity, right? In 6 months, he completed the journey and saw Krishna, saw the Supreme Lord face to face. And what austerity he did. Then in Mahaprabhu's pastime, when you talk about austerity, who comes into the picture? Raghunath Das Goswami. What he used to do? Every 2-3 days, he used to take some buttermilk. That was his eating habit. Every 2-3 days, a cup of buttermilk. And that day he used to think, I did a lot of sense gratification today. Why? I took buttermilk. So by that we can understand what we are and what they are. And Prabhupada warns us, don't try to imitate this kind of personalities. Because what will happen? Imbalance in our life. And gradually we may give up the process of devotional service. Because we cannot handle it. Because we are not at that kind of platform to handle that kind of austerity. So therefore, we have to follow our founder Acharya. So in terms of eating, Prabhupada also says so many things. What kind of austerity? So first austerity is that we should take Krishna Prasad. That is the first austerity. Not vegetarian food only. We have to take Krishna Prasad. Cooked by devotees. That is the main austerity. And Prabhupada writes that a sadhu should take prasad only once in a day. Right? Somewhere it is written by Prabhupada. A yogi, he said, whoever takes food once in a day, he is a yogi. Who takes twice in a day, he is a bhogi. And who takes thrice in a day, he is a rogi. Like that. There is another, I will say that. But Prabhupada says we should take prasadam once in a day. By hearing that, we feel very disturbed. Because in our ashram, generally at least 2 times, 3 times is better. So why Prabhupada wrote like that? Because during Radha Damodar time, when Prabhupada used to stay in Radha Damodar, he was following that. He was following that kind of food habit. He did not, he was not taking anything in the morning, 12:30, lunch, and night time, 1 cup of milk. That was Prabhupada's prasadam habit. And that time he was writing maybe that commentary of Bhagavad Gita. So I have given my purport also. So we should take one time full meal prasadam. But in problem in ISKCON that there is no concept of other meals, only full meals. We take morning lunch, we take afternoon lunch, we take evening lunch. Everything is lunch, everything is full meal. But generally breakfast and dinner should not be full meal. Only lunch should be full meal. And lunch should be taken when sun is up. That is the best time to take lunch. So it's not an absolute principle, but this is followed. Prabhupada is to take lunch at 1 o'clock always. So in that way, main meal should be taken at midday. But due to our practical difficulties, ISKCON early days, they used to take breakfast. After that, they had to go out, whole day Sankirtan, book distribution. And they used to come back in the evening. That time they used to take evening prasadam. So the concept of lunch midday was not possible. Why? Because they are out. So you have to adjust according to our practical situation. But the concept of taking full meals all the time is not a good idea. And especially taking full meals after sunset is also not a good idea. So Prabhupada said that we should take also quantity properly. Just for our information. Prabhupada said we should fill the stomach with solid food 50%. 50% solid, 25% water, 25% air. But very difficult to measure the size of the stomach. And when some nice prasadam is there, we forget to measure. So there is no space for water or to talk about air. So full meal up to this. So that is not so much recommended, but once in a while is okay. Prabhupada said beginning days we should eat as much as we want, but after some time we should try to regulate our food habits. So austerity, and Prabhupada said fasting on Ekadasi, fasting on Janmashtami and other festival is also a form of austerity. Fasting is very much needed for our body, is good for our health also. And Prabhupada gives two examples. Taking bath early in the morning in winter season and cooking in the kitchen in summer. Also austerity. So in this way, Prabhupada practically said what should be done in form of austerities. But austerity, what is the purpose? Sometimes we forget that. Upavas. Fasting means upavas. What is the purpose of fasting? Stay close to Krishna. That is the meaning of fasting. But we think fasting means not eating. On Janmashtami, we are not so much Krishna conscious. We are conscious when 12 o'clock at night will come. Because that is the time the real Janmashtami happens. Right? So once after midnight Arati was over, Janmashtami was celebrated, Prabhupada was there. Prabhupada said, today is Janmashtami. Let us read Krishna book. So devotees were not so happy with that, but what to do? Because after midnight Arati, what is the next? Prasadam. They are all planning to go for Prasadam. But Prabhupada said, today is Janmashtami. It is a very good day to read from Krishna book. So Prabhupada started reading Krishna book. First chapter was over. And everybody was telling, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Means, Prabhupada, please stop. But Prabhupada was not stopping. He was continuing. And devotees are suffering like anything. Falling, not in ecstasy. So in that way, we can understand the position of a pure devotee. Prabhupada was experiencing bliss while reading Krishna book. But others, mostly, they are thinking when Krishna book reading will stop. By that we can understand our position. I think once Jagannath Das Babaji or Gaurakrishna Das Babaji, he said, tomorrow we'll have festival. And people thought there will be a lot of good prasadam, this and that. Everybody came excited. He said, today is a festival of chanting. Whole day chanting and hearing, whole day chanting and hearing. That is the meaning of festival. So for us, festival means the real essence of the festival is to have wonderful prasadam. So in that way, there are different levels, but we have to come to the platform of experiencing happiness from chanting and hearing. We should not think, oh, Goswamis were suffering like anything. They are going through a lot of trouble because they are not able to eat. They are not able to sleep. It's not like that. They are experiencing the higher taste of life. Here also, it is explained that Mother Archie, what she did, because of the pleasure she derived in serving her husband, she did not feel any difficulties. So yesterday we discussed that Mother Archie never touched the ground like the demigods. So demigod also never touched the ground. So for the first time, because she was the daughter of a king and she was the wife of a king. That was her position. And she was following her husband and started staying in the forest. In the forest, there is no bed. Ground is the bed. And what she used to eat? In this verse, it is mentioned fruits, flowers, and leaves. That's what she was eating. And in the past, what she used to eat? Luxurious food. But she was physically becoming thin because of the austerity, but internally she was experiencing the joy. Why? Because she was serving her husband, who was Prithu Maharaj, who was the pure devotee of the Lord. And because of that, she was experiencing the bliss of Krishna consciousness. So whole purpose of austerity is to serve Krishna. So when we are connected with Krishna through our services, that is main austerity. We have to be Krishna conscious. We have to remember Krishna. Why there is no concept of eating on festival days? Because we are expected to absorb ourselves in hearing and chanting and remembering Krishna. So when big festival happens also in this world, people they forget because they are so busy arranging the festival, right or wrong. They are so happy, they forget eating. In the same way, festivals means we should be very, very happy. Krishna is appearing. Then Mastami. We should be absorbed in that. That positive absorption will, what will be the consequent result of that absorption? We will not feel any material difficulties. Rather, we'll forget that, what's happening in our body. Just like Mother Archie. Although she became very thin, but she was not experiencing that. What she was experiencing joy of spiritual life. So in the same way, we should not artificially try to do something, but at the same time, we have to practice something also. Prabhupada says in the purport, because a person who is engaged in spiritual life must reduce the comforts of the body, namely eating, sleeping, and mating to a minimum. So, Prabhupada said that what is the symptom of a liberated person who is free from four tendencies: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. In Vrindavan, during last days of Prabhupada's past times in this world, he said, now I am liberated. Why? Because I am not eating anything. I am not sleeping also. Mating I left long back. Then defending also. So I am free from eating, sleeping, mating and defending. That's why I am liberated. The symptom of liberated person is that he is free from these tendencies. But we cannot artificially do that. Prabhupada says a pure devotee never sleeps. That is the statement Prabhupada makes. And by hearing the statement, we feel sleepy, right? Very difficult statement. A pure devotee never sleeps. Bhaktivinoda Thakur used to sleep at 7:30 in the evening, used to get up 10 o'clock in the evening. And that time also they are not sleeping. Prabhupada used to say, I heard from Prabhupada disciples also during Prabhupada's 2 hours rest at night, he was conscious. Just keeping the body in that condition so that it takes some rest to continue the service. So in that way, a pure devotee never sleeps. 2.5 hours, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, then 10 to 4, he used to write books. So night time is very good time for absorption. We are also absorbed in sleeping, but pure devotees are absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So I was thinking, why is like that? Why has Krishna has put us into such austere condition? Then I was analyzing Krishna's life and Mahaprabhu's life. They also don't sleep. Krishna daytime with the gopas, nighttime with the gopis. Where's the time for sleeping? No time for sleeping. Mahaprabhu, daytime on the street with Harinam Sankirtan, nighttime in the house of Srivas, Harinam Sankirtan. Where's the time for sleeping? So if Lord can do like that, in order to give mercy to all the fallen conditioned souls, he gave up sleeping. So in order to receive that mercy, we have to reciprocate also. But we cannot artificially come to that platform. But Prabhupada said, symptom of advancement is that tendency to eat and tendency to sleep reduces. That is a symptom. And Prabhupada said, a devotee life should not be very comfortable life. In this purport, he is writing. If we are in a very comfortable situation, what will happen? We become agitated for sense enjoyment. Comfortable life attracts anarthas. Comfortable life attracts sense enjoyment. That's why Goswamis voluntarily accepted the life of austerity. That's why it is recommended everybody should retire from household life and go to the forest. It's called Tapoban. Tapoban means forest where austerity is performed. And I was reading different quotes of Prabhupada on Vanaprastha. Prabhupada wrote in so many places. And his message is that at the age of 50, again and again he's telling, at the age of 50, everybody must retire. Everybody must retire. And a Brahmana, yesterday we were discussing also, a Brahmana and Kshatriya, they should go through all 4 ashramas. Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas. And Vanaprastha also can be of 2 types. Vanaprastha with the wife and Vanaprastha without wife. Both are recommended, and in Kali Yuga, better. Vanaprastha with wife. And what is the symptom of that ashram? It is explained also. What she was doing, Mother Archie, she was also doing severe austerities. Not the husband only did austerity. Both husband and wife have to perform severe austerities. Why? Because austerity is the main dharma in Vanaprastha order of life. Why? Because they have gone through the Grihastha life, because of that attachment is there, and to get rid of that attachment, austerity is very, very important. So performing austerity is very, very important to cut the knot of attachment in the heart. And that's what devotees, those who are in Vanaprastha order of life, do that. And prepare for sannyas. And he said when husband is ready for sannyas, then wife comes back home and continues her life of austerity to set the example for her son, daughter-in-law, and other members of the family. So Vanaprastha life is the life of austerity. So austerity means give up sense enjoyment, give up social duties, give up all kinds of entangling situation. That is the purpose of austerity. And it is said the wife should act in such a way that husband doesn't feel attracted. That is the duty. That both of them should help each other to become free from attachment. That is the main principle or main purpose of Vanaprastha life. Because in this world, a man is attracted by a woman and woman is attracted by a man, and that's why material existence continues. But purpose of Vanaprastha life is to cut that attachment. And Prabhupada mentioned in the purport the austerity of Vishnu Priya Devi. What austerity she performed. When Mahaprabhu took sannyas at the age of 24, that time the age of Vishnu Priya Devi was 16 years old. So, and Vishnu Priya Devi lived for another 80 years. She left at the age of 96. So 80 years of austerity. And what was her austerity? Also explained by Prabhupada. She used to chant, finishing one round of chanting, 1 grain of rice. In that way, the number of rounds she chants, that number of grains she used to cook and used to honor Prashad. That was the austerity of Vishnu Priya Devi. Why? Why they do that? Because austerity is for the higher purpose. Why they are doing the austerity? To please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why Vanaprastha devotees should perform austerity? Because that is expected from them, because that is the purpose of Vanaprastha life, and that pleases Krishna. First, it is a duty. The duty of a Vanaprastha is to go through austerities. Everybody should go to austerity, but primary focus in Vanaprastha life is austerity. Just like in Brahmachari life, main focus, everybody does austerity. But in Brahmachari life, focus is on study. In Grihastha order, focus is on charity. Vanaprastha, austerity. And sannyas means travel and preach. So that is the austerity of different ashram. But austerity is the main focus in Vanaprastha. And why is that? Because after Grihastha, it's very, very difficult to come out from that family attachment. That's why they have to do a lot of austerities. Both husband and wife together. So that that attachment between husband and wife no longer exists. And that is a platform to achieve perfection in our spiritual journey. Very painful at the beginning, but very blissful at the end. That is called Shreya and Prayer. Prayas means very blissful at the beginning and very painful at the end. That is enjoyment. But what is Shreyas? Very painful at the beginning and super blissful at the end. And that bliss is eternal. When we come out from this attachment, then we'll experience the eternal bliss of Krishna consciousness and enter into the kingdom of God and experience that joy eternally. It's not good. What do you think? When we have diseases in our body, go through the operation is a good choice or bad choice? What? Why? It's a good choice. Operation is painful, but after we go through that pain, what happens? We get a healthy body so that we can enjoy in a better way. In the same way, in order to enjoy in the best way, we have to give up the enjoyment of this material world. That's why it is said, austerity leads to purity. The purpose of austerity is to bring purity in our life. Without austerity, we cannot be pure. That's why spiritual life is meant for austerity. Chanting of the holy name is a big austerity. So hearing Bhagavatam class is also very, very austere. These 3 hours is very, very important. 2 hours during japa and 1 hour during Bhagavatam class. And these two aspects are most important aspects of sadhana bhakti given by Srila Prabhupada. And somehow we neglect that. We do other parts very nicely, attending festivals, taking prasadam, deity greetings, all these things we do very nicely. That is also very much needed. But the most important part is chanting of the holy name and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. If these two things are done properly, then progress will be very, very fast. But the problem is during that time, we feel very lazy because that is the trick of Maya. Maya doesn't want that we come out from Maya because candidate will miss the candidate. So Maya plays the trick during these two activities, chanting of the holy name and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And that time we become victimized by our modes. Those who are in the mode of ignorance, they sleep. And those who are in mode of passion, they plan their life during these two periods. So therefore, they miss the benefit of chanting of the holy name and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So for us, most important part of our austerity is to chant the holy name and hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you very much. Time is up. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल. If you have any question, comment, reflections, doubts, now is the time. Or, I don't know, 10-15 minutes maximum. Any question? Yeah. Mike?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for giving a real austerity.
Huh?
Real definition of.
Yeah, and different types of austerity.
So wondering what of
Huh? What is the definition of retirement? Okay. Mic is not working properly by your question. So retirement means retirement from social duties and completely focused in Krishna conscious activities. That is the meaning of retirement. There is no retirement from devotional service. We think of retirement means retire from devotional service. So retirement means retirement from social duties. We have some social duties. So retirement means coming out from the social duties and completely focus on serving Krishna. That is retirement. And another aspect, don't earn money. That is also big austerity. Because earning money is very interesting. Earning money is only allowed in Grihastha ashram. not Vanaprastha ashram. Retirement means retire from the job. Prabhupada said, all the government officials should retire at the age of 50. So that's the time of retirement. So retire from job. Job means duties. And also retire from earning money. The two main aspects. And what is the positive aspect? Completely focus on the service of the Lord. Okay. Any other?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, in an NOD, like you see that like austerity is not a limb of bhakti, and also austerity is not a limb of bhakti. And also it is said that if someone performs severe austerity, there is a tendency of becoming hard-hearted. But in case of this here in this episode, we see there is a lot of stress given on austerity.
Austerity is not the limb of bhakti, but austerity is the foundation to practice the limbs of bhakti. There's a difference. Performing duty is not also limb of bhakti, but that is a foundation. Just like if you want to play cricket, you need a ground. Ground is not playing cricket, but you need that ground to play cricket. If you don't have ground, you can play cricket in bedroom also, but that is not so recommended. In the same way, practice of bhakti, just like Prabhupada says, if you have to take initiation, chanting 16 rounds, that is limb of bhakti. But along with that, you have to follow four regulative principles. That is called austerity. Following four regulative principles is not a limb of bhakti. Then why you are doing it? Because coming out from sinful activities is a foundation. Coming out from sense enjoyment is a foundation. That is austerity. There are two things. One is negation, one is positive engagement. Austerity means withdrawing the senses from sense objects, and bhakti means engaging the senses in the service of the Lord. Both things should go together. Okay? So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, how to control the mind? Abhyas and Vairagya. Vairagya means austerity. Abhyas means practicing bhakti. Okay? Both are needed. Both are together. Two lines. The back.
Krishna Maharaj, please accept my respectful obeisances. Thank you for the very nice class, Maharaj. I wanted to ask, like you mentioned, right, in the example of Janmashtami, we look more forward to, like, say, midnight to actually break the fast and then enjoy after that. So how does the mood that we have towards austerity affect the results of austerity?
You can repeat?
The mood that we have towards austerity, how we approach austerity, how does it affect the result? So technically we are still fasting the entire day for Janmashtami, but it's not in the right mood. So how does it affect the...
That's why two aspects. Austerity, that fasting has two aspects. Not eating. That is one aspect of austerity. But what we should do? That is the positive aspect. We should always chant and hear. That is positive aspect. Both are needed. Not thinking of food and thinking of Krishna. Both things should go, right? So fasting is also not a limb of bhakti. But why you do fasting? Because that is favorable. Austerity is a favorable aspect to help us in bhakti. Okay, that should be the mood. The purpose of fasting is to remember Krishna, stay close to Krishna. That is the purpose of fasting.
Maharaj, in the case of where we are not necessarily fully focused on Krishna, like, for example, say we are engaged in work the entire day and we're not able to fully focus on Krishna for whatever reason, but we still do continue the austerity regardless of fasting, right? That is also important. I'm trying to.
Not eating is one aspect. That's good side. But what you do, that is also another important aspect. At least on that day, Prabhupada expected. At least on Janmashtami, you should not work. At least devotees should try to do that. On Janmashtami, try to focus on hearing, chanting, sadhu sangha, kirtan. You should be engaged whole day in that. That is recommended. But if you don't have any escape, I cannot say anything. But recommended is better to focus on spiritual activities on that day. Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, you started by saying the Vanaprastha ashram to start. It's a stage to start developing detachment from material life. So at the Grihastha ashram, so we see some severe austerities being done. Is that unhealthy? How do we understand, and what should be the focus? Like Vanaprastha focus is detachment, attachment to more absorbed.
Grihastha charity. My danda is not liking my statement. So dharma grihastha is to give charity. That is the way they become detached. Money.
So that's the primary.
Detachment from money is the main focus. Because that is the source of attachment. So charity is the main dharma of a grihastha. Doesn't mean that he does not do other things. He can do tapasya also. And other things should continue. But main focus given for grihastha is to give charity. Use the money for the welfare of others. That is the main focus. The problem in Kali Yuga, those who are in grihastha life, they act like vanaprastha. And those who are in vanaprastha, they are acting like grihastha. So like that. So we have to act according to our ashram. When we are in grihastha ashram, we have to perform our duties as grihastha. Internally, you can be focused in Krishna. That is the purpose of every ashram. But externally, we have to perform our duties according to our ashram. That is expected. Taking care of the children, taking care of the family members, taking care of the household affairs, taking care of the relatives. There are so many duties of grihasthas that has to be performed very wonderfully in a detached way. Okay?
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Topic about the satisfaction of the mind. They give 3 points. Seems I heard many times, but difficult to practice. So,
Prabhupada mentions very simple to have satisfied mind. 3 things I mentioned in the beginning of the class. You're there? Krishna speaks about satisfaction of mind as an austerity, and Prabhupada gives a wonderful purport to that verse in 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada says, first, mind should be always thinking how to help others. And mind should be withdrawn from sense enjoyment. And mind should be absorbed in the topics of Shastra about Krishna. These 3 things Prabhupada mentions. And when mind is absorbed in that way, engaged in that way, then mind will be satisfied. But Prabhupada says in modern society, mind is always absorbed in sense enjoyment. That's why mind is always dissatisfied. It's the principle. Okay? Satisfaction is an experience that will come when we do these things. But it's not possible to do these things completely, but we have to practice it. And more we practice, then more we can achieve. And one day will come, mind will be always absorbed in all these things. In Krishna Katha and helping others. That is the main function of the mind. Clear? So we'll end here. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर प्रेमानंद।